and welcome back to F1 Analyzes. Today I have a very special guest, William Schell. He's also who partly created the theme song, so that's pretty cool. Today we are going to be discussing McLaren. I have the only orange shirt that I own on for my support, because McLaren is one of the teams that I like. First things first, I have a list of questions. Why are you staring directly at the camera?
Because I feel like I should be when I'm trying to be looking at you.
I mean, I don't. You can look at the camera, you can look at me, but you don't need to stare into people's souls. I have a list of questions that I ask every person.
Okay.
When did you start watching F1?
Today.
Technically.
Last year.
Yeah, at senior week. But today was really the first race that you watched, which was the Canadian Grand Prix. How did you get into F1?
You.
Yes, I got another one! I've single-handedly gotten all my friends into F1. Okay, who is your favorite team? Could you yes. Could you name more than two teams?
Red Bull, McLaren, Haas.
Oh, you got Haas.
Mercedes.
Okay.
That's all.
Yeah. Who is your least favorite team, if you have one?
None.
None.
No, I don't have one.
You're a supporter.
Yeah. Just showing love.
Yeah. Who's your favorite driver?
I liked watching Norris a lot today.
Yeah. He's fun to watch.
Yeah.
And then do you have based on, I guess, just today, do you have a least favorite?
No.
Bro loves everyone. We're going to talk a little bit about the race that we just watched, less than 30 minutes ago.
Then.
It was a wet race, which greatly impacts, the track and how the tires grip.
Yeah.
So it causes more problems, sliding issues.
It affects the grip.
Bro. And so they had bro, you can't laugh the whole time.
Okay. I'm serious.
George Russell was on pole, which means that he started in the first position for this race. He kept that lead for a little bit.
Yeah.
But then he made one too many mistakes, and Norris and Max were able to get past him.
Yeah.
And then there was an incident with Logan Sargent's car.
Yeah.
Where he kind of spun out and he had to retire his car. So then there was a safety car, and that caused... What happened?
Norris lost his lead because of it. I think he had a few second lead on Max.
You're right. Norris had a pretty big lead on Max, but then he went into the pits and he wasn't able to get out in time before Max went by.
Yeah.
So Norris lost his lead. There were a fair amount of smaller incidents between the grid up front where people were kind of slipping off the track, and then someone would overtake, and then that would happen again, and someone would get back at them. Oh, Perez had an issue just randomly. They really didn't show much about how it happened. Perez just sort of, his rear wing kind of smushed.
Yeah.
Which is really not something that should happen. And he had to retire his car.
Yeah, I remember seeing something about that at the end.
That was interesting too, because Perez didn't have a great weekend overall. And he just re-signed with Red Bull.
Oh.
So.
Fun.
Yeah. Maybe not the greatest look for Red Bull, but I have faith that he could pick himself back up.
They still got the win, so.
Alex Albon had an incident with Carlos Sainz, where Sainz spun around. This was, I think, your favorite part.
Yeah, it was. He was just playing in the grass for a while.
Playing in the grass, yeah. Sainz spun out, and he was in the grass trying to get out of it, but he had no grip, so it was difficult, and he just kept spinning. But when he spun out initially, Alex Albon tried to get past him, but he couldn't in time, and he was kind of bumped into the wall. So then both of them had to retire.
Yeah.
So, and Leclerc also retired at some point because his car was having engine issues, and he started
I remember that.
like 11th or 12th, and he dropped back pretty quickly to 19th, and then had to retire the car. So both Ferraris and both Williams were out, and then a Red Bull was out. So it was that's not normal. Well, the Williams maybe, but the Ferraris, the Ferraris and the Red Bull being out is not normal.
Yeah.
So you got to watch a pretty interesting race.
It was fun watching the top three go neck and neck the entire game.
Yeah.
It was fun.
It is nice when that happens, because it's not always like that.
I think they each had like a good 20 laps where they're in first.
Mm-hmm.
Probably.
What is the word? The pack has...
What are you trying to say?
I don't know.
You don't even know what it's supposed to mean, like?
like it's gotten...
Closer?
Yes, it's gotten closer, but there's a better word for it. It's not... Yes, it's become more competitive. Yes! Thank you. You don't know who's going to win going into the race, which was not the case last year. Last year, I woke up at, 6 in the morning, 3 in the morning, because races are never at a normal time, just to watch Max win every time.
And then we get to watch him win again today.
Yes, and that's why I was mad. But it was a good race, and he deserved that win.
Yeah. This should be fun.
Well, you get to learn a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just like you're in school.
Yeah.
Except I'm just forcing you to listen. Well, I guess that's what they do in school.
Yeah.
So McLaren started in 1966. The very first F1 race was in 1950. So 16 years after that, McLaren became a team.
They became a team, not when they started making cars.
No, yes.
Yeah.
McLaren started making cars because of the F1 team.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so the racing was first.
Okay.
And their first win wasn't until 1968. So 2 years later, which honestly, for a new team, just...
pretty fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, that's difficult. So McLaren started because there was this one guy, Bruce McLaren.
I remember my first actual race. It was on a beach at a place called Muriwai in New Zealand. In fact, I won it. I was, I think, more excited than I've ever been before in my life.
Pretty fun name.
Like Ted Food Lion. No,
who was that?
The guy who made Food Lion.
His name was Ted Food
No,
Lion?
actually.
Yeah, so Bruce McLaren was the founder of the McLaren team, and that was because he drove for the Cooper team, which no longer exists. He drove for Cooper for a bit, and then he had been racing since he was like 12. So really, really young.
That's crazy.
Kind of insane if you're racing.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he won, but it wasn't in F1. It was in a different racing, thing.
Gotcha.
He just decided that he could do it better. He was like, I'm just gonna make my own.
Yeah, as you do.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's how great things start, but that's crazy ambition.
It's bold.
It is bold. That's like if you were sitting in Food Lion and you were like, you know what?
I'll make a better
I'm
Food
just
Lion.
gonna open a grocery store.
Yeah.
For an F1 race, Bruce McLaren, so he drove for the team as well as making the team.
Yeah.
Which again, that's an insane amount of pressure. So he was the youngest ever F1 winner for nearly 50 years.
Ooh.
He won in Sebring, Florida at the age of 22.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
It's early.
I'm not positive in saying this, but I do have a feeling, and maybe there was someone before him, but Max Verstappen definitely won before 22 years old.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
I like that you thought about that, as if you were gonna...
I was trying to think of how old he was now, and then I didn't even know that. So then I was like...
In 1970, so only 7 years after the founding of McLaren, Bruce was driving a test car on a track, and he crashed it and died.
Oh, that's morbid.
Yeah, sorry.
It's kind of caught me off guard. I wasn't ready for that.
I think I need to stop saying that so casually when I mention like deaths in F1.
Yeah, maybe.
Because there are just so many, and I've like done the research, so I know that it's coming.
Mm.
But if someone doesn't know, then I guess it's a little more like,
Yeah.
oh.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, I mean, he had a great, successful career, and he created the foundation of a very successful team.
He had an idea, and he made it happen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Also, the fact that he named the team after himself, that's kind of iconic.
That is, yeah. That's just... When you hear that there's a guy named, like, Bruce McLaren, that just sounds funny when you say that.
Yeah, it's kind of insane, I think, to leave a team. You're really young. I mean, he's like early 20s, late teens. Make a team, be the driver of that team, and then name it after yourself.
And then win in 2 years.
And then win.
Yeah.
That's
bold.
That's bold, and I respect it.
Yeah.
After Bruce McLaren passed, the company was taken over by this guy, Teddy Mayer. These guys have weird names.
Yeah, they have interesting names.
It's the 1970s names. So then Teddy took over and kind of led the team. And what was interesting was because if you have the founder of a team suddenly die really early on in the career of a team, you would kind of think it's going to sort of fall off. But they were able to continue building forward, which was pretty immaculate.
Yeah, that's impressive.
Yeah. Any other thoughts?
Not really. Is Teddy Mayer still around?
I don't know. I would think not. In 1974, this guy Emerson Fittipaldi joined McLaren. And this was a big deal because he was a very, very good driver. And that year, he was able to give McLaren their first ever championship win. So that was a huge deal for the team. I mean, it's less than 10 years after the founding of the team.
Exactly, yeah.
Could you imagine, too, owning a team like Ferrari, who has been there the whole time? They've been doing well. They've been winning. And then this other team comes in out of nowhere and just takes over.
Embarrassing. Just embarrassing. I am curious, do more teams just pop up still? Or no? Is it like set in stone which ones are in right now? No,
it's not set in stone. Well, it's set in stone for like this season.
Yeah.
But you do have teams that will... It's kind of complicated because you have teams that will rebrand. So it's not necessarily that they are a different team. It's just they go by a different name.
Gotcha.
Or you have had like sponsor or whatever will switch. Yeah. So then it's like a completely different team. And the rebrand basically makes it a different team too.
Gotcha.
But then you also have teams that will not be doing well and they don't have enough funding, so they'll leave and you'll have other teams join in.
Okay, yeah.
That hasn't happened too much in the past 10 years, but it does happen and it could happen.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's what I was curious about. Like, if some rich guy just wanted to make it a team, you could get in.
There are people who have tried to put in to become an F1 team, but the FIA has basically been like, nah.
Oh.
So it's all dependent on what the FIA wants and what the regulations are, how many teams there can be. There can be more than 10. There have been more than 10 before. But now there's only 10. So then Fittipaldi left McLaren in 1976, and he basically went and made his own team with, I believe, his brothers.
Yeah.
And then that didn't do well, and funding went down, and that was sort of the end of Fittipaldi's career.
Oh.
So, you do have people who try to make new teams and it doesn't work out.
Yeah.
Not everyone can be as successful as Bruce McLaren.
That's true.
Do you want to clap? Oh.
Okay.
Awesome. Thanks. So next up we have, who is James Hunt?
But when I get to the track, the decision is made. I've decided that I'm continuing for a bit, so there isn't any point in getting worried or getting frightened. I've got plenty of things to think about as it is, and I've got a job to do.
Why do they all have such, famous people sounding names?
It's like even today when we were listening to Lewis Hamilton, I was
Yeah.
like, that is such a regal sounding like
Lewis
movie
Hamilton,
character.
Max Verstappen,
Yeah, like what?
Charles
They
Leclerc.
can't be real. They can.
So James Hunt is part of one of the most famous rivalries in all of F1.
Mm-hmm.
It's him and then Niki Lauda. And there's a whole movie. I'm promoting this movie again. I love this movie. There's a whole movie about him and Niki Lauda's rivalry called Rush.
Okay.
And it's good.
Noted.
Yep. So he joined McLaren in 1976.
Mm-hmm.
And then he won the championship that year against Niki Lauda, who was driving for Ferrari. He kind of beat Niki.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's big for the rivalry.
Yeah. And I think he drove with them for 2 more years before leaving their team. Because it sort of, no success. That's James Hunt. He's a really interesting guy in general. He sort of has a big personality.
What? What?
You've never heard someone say that before?
No, but like, no, never mind.
He has a big personality.
Yeah, okay, he has a big personality.
He would talk back to the press and things like that. And at least in Rush, it's implied that he got into, like, he punched a press member. But I don't really know if that's true or not. That's just, I haven't done research into that. That's just what I've seen in that movie.
Gotcha.
There was a different guy. His name is Alain Prost.
Mm-hmm.
And he's huge name in F1. I'm going to be talking about him when I do the Williams episode, so I'm not really going too much now.
Gotcha.
But he joined McLaren in 1980 at the age of 24.
We're still in the 80s.
We are still in the 80s. Don't worry, there's a big time jump at some point. But yeah, so in 1980, he joined McLaren at 24.
Mm-hmm.
And then during the 88 season, he became teammates with Ayrton Senna. And that ended up becoming his rival.
Oh.
Biggest rivalry in F1. I'm going to go so far to say
Why is
that.
it always the teammates?
Well, I mean, do you want me to genuinely answer that? Because I could.
Let's hear it.
It's always the teammates because when you, at least when they were at McLaren, they did not have team orders. They were allowed to fight on track. Okay. So when that happens, you have a sort of fight for status of who's going to be the best driver, who's going to be the number one driver, because they're in the same exact car. And so it's not like you're being compared to people with different cars on the grid. You're being compared to someone in the same exact car. So it causes this sort of tension between them, this rivalry. And it can escalate. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it goes past when you're teammates. Sometimes people will leave teams and then they're perfectly fine with each other. It's a really interesting sort of concept.
I wonder if it also has to do with the fact that you're racing against someone who's supposed to be on your side and you're competing with somebody who's supposedly on your side as well.
Yeah.
I feel like that would mentally make you more mad at somebody.
I agree because you think that they're I see what you're saying.
They're trying, you think in your head they're trying to help you, but they're just passing you on the track. They're just being annoying.
Yeah. Especially, so their rivalry started really because they had an agreement that whoever was ahead into turn 1 of a certain race would be who, gets to lead that race, whatever. They wouldn't really fight each other. So that happened, but then there was an incident and the race restarted. And so then going into turn 1, Prost was ahead of Senna. But then Senna ended up passing Prost, and Prost felt like that broke their agreement. But Senna's argument was that since it was a restart, it didn't count.
Maybe I should have thought through the rules a little better.
Maybe, but that started one of the most intense rivalries the sport has ever seen. So Prost, after the 88 season, actually left McLaren, and he publicly said it was because of Senna.
Oh. That's kind of cold.
And if you think he joined McLaren in 1980, and this was the 1988 season.
Oh damn!
So he was there for 8 years, and this one dude came in and he just left. Who is Ayrton Senna?
You are under risk all the time. By being a racing driver means you are racing with other people. And if you no longer go for a gap that exists, you're no longer a racing driver.
A lot of people think that this is the greatest racing driver of all time.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying that he's not, but like, it's like for a certain period of time.
Yeah.
You can't, it's hard to compare people then versus people now.
Yeah.
It's just different racing in general.
It's like LeBron and Jordan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Except people do try to make
Yeah,
that.
they still do that, but
people do still
it's
try
hard,
to do this,
though.
but it's not. It just doesn't make as much sense. Senna joined F1 in 1984, and he raced for this team Toleman, which no longer exists. And then he raced for Lotus, which no longer exists, before joining McLaren in 1988.
Gotcha.
And he, that year, beat Alain Prost, his teammate, for the championship. And then he won again in 90 and 91.
Yeah.
So Senna had a very good career.
Yeah.
And he was widely respected and very successful.
Mm-hmm.
And people thought that him and Prost kind of had this whole back and forth thing going, and they thought that was going to continue for a very long time. In 1994...
Yeah, where to go wrong is what I asked.
In 1994, while driving for Williams, Senna moved to Williams, during the Imola Grand Prix, his steering wheel broke, and he lost control of his car, and he crashed into a cement wall.
Ooh.
He was then taken to the hospital, and very shortly after announced dead.
Oh.
Yes, so unfortunately, that was the end of Ayrton Senna.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace to a legend.
Yeah.
So Senna was just like a huge name in the sport, a huge name for McLaren, and it was like a shock-wave to F1 when he died.
Yeah.
This was 90. What did I say? This was 94. So you have people who are around in F1 today who were there.
Dang.
They saw that happen. There's too many deaths.
There are.
Now just a little bit into the engineering side of things.
Okay.
Which
I should know a little about.
Okay.
A little about engineering in general.
Okay, yeah. In 1981, McLaren was the first team to use carbon fiber, which is now pretty much what all the teams use.
Gotcha.
And not only that, but it's what majority of an F1 car is made.
Mm-hmm.
It's just really light. It makes it more aerodynamic.
Yeah.
But it's also very, very strong.
Yeah, I know it's strong. That's the one thing I know about.
Yeah. So it's a good mix between allowing the car to be aerodynamic and then also sustaining crashes, high speeds, things like that. McLaren being the first team to do that was, huge,
Yeah,
very
that's crazy.
innovative.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they were the first team to do it in general, but they were definitely the first team to have carbon fiber on the body of the car.
Oh, gotcha.
So it was a very big deal. In 2008, Lewis Hamilton.
Yep, I know that name.
Yes. Who I'm going to discuss during the Mercedes episode, so I'm not going to get too much into him now.
Okay.
He won the championship with McLaren.
Hmm.
So he joined F1, won with McLaren.
When was this, did you say?
2008.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. He won in 2008, and then he moved to Mercedes in 2013. Just a huge... McLaren has had very big names. Another name being Fernando Alonso, who also drives now. He's with Aston Martin now.
Mm-hmm.
But Fernando Alonso won, not with McLaren, but Fernando Alonso won in 2005 and 2006.
Mm-hmm.
So you have... they were teammates at the time, too. So you have two, world champions being at McLaren.
Yeah, that's
so
crazy.
They have a lot of big names who have been with them. Who's Lando Norris?
Long time coming, but finally I've managed to do it. So I'm so happy for my whole team. I finally delivered for them.
So Lando joined in 2019 at the age of, I believe, and I could be wrong, but I believe he was 19.
Okay.
he might have been 20.
Yeah.
He was young, regardless. And when he was a kid, he knew this guy, Zach Brown, who is now the CEO of McLaren. He was the former team principal for McLaren for a very long time. So Lando and Zach have known each other for ages. And Lando joined McLaren, and he is loyal to McLaren like Charles Leclerc is loyal to Ferrari. Lando has had some very bad times with McLaren where they've kind of not given him the car that he needs to be able to compete in the championship. And just time and time again, he hasn't gotten things quite right to be able to win.
Yeah.
So earlier this year, Lando signed a contract extension to be with McLaren through 2026.
Oh, damn.
So he's staying with them still. He is committed. I think some of that has to do with Zach Brown being there, and just that sort of dynamic, and he knows what Lando needs, and Lando knows, he has a say at the team. The tides are changing, and it's becoming better for him to be there.
Yeah.
Are you laughing at my phrasing?
The tides are changing. Yeah,
What's wrong with that?
Nothing, you're fine.
The tides are changing.
Just keep your weird sayings, it's cool.
What?
I will say about Lando, when I was watching him, which was deceiving, he seemed to be like the most humble of the three, almost. When I was watching at the end, when he was talking, he seemed very nice of a person. However, I've heard that he's not.
You've heard that he's not from me.
Yeah, from you.
I'm not saying that he's not nice.
Mm-hmm.
He just sort of gets on my nerves. I can't explain it.
Uh-huh.
It's just, there are certain interviews that I've seen and things where I just am like, what?
I'm alive today.
Carl?
Yeah, on you as well.
There we go, that's more like it.
He's just not my vibe of a person.
Yeah, that's fine.
But I'm like, he's very, very talented, and I'm a fan of his.
I get
where
that.
I want him to win.
There's people all throughout history that are really good. They just are sucky people.
Yeah, I'm not saying I'm
not
not even
sucky
saying
people, not.
He's just not my kind of person.
Yeah. I get you.
In 2024 at the Miami Grand Prix, which was 3 races ago,
Gotcha.
Lando Norris got his first ever win.
Okay.
Again, he joined in 2019. It's 2024.
Yeah, that's a long time.
He waited a very long time to get that win. It was a huge deal.
It was hard earned.
It was hard earned.
Yeah.
I was ecstatic. I did not expect it. I was on FaceTime with my mom. And I literally screamed.
Yeah, that'd be surprising.
Yeah. Who is Oscar Piastri? So Oscar Piastri is the other current driver for...
He was fun to watch that day too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He has also signed a deal to stay with McLaren through 2026. Okay. So they have their lineup set for a little bit.
Yeah.
And there's new regulation changes in 2026, so it's kind of good to have that secured and know where you are, know where you stand.
That's good.
So Piastri joined F1 2 years ago.
Oh.
And this was honestly maybe one of the funniest things I've ever seen when he joined. So this was the second season that I had watched. And during the off season, in between the first season that I watched and when this happened, I was, keeping up with updates and things that were happening. And basically what occurred was Alpine, who's a different team, said they announced publicly on their platform that they had signed Oscar Piastri for the next 2 years, I think they had said. And then Oscar Piastri went on Twitter and tweeted and was like, Alpine has not signed me. I'm not racing for them.
That's crazy.
And then the next day, McLaren announced that they had signed Oscar. And then Oscar was like, yes, this is correct. I'm racing for McLaren. So then Alpine sued McLaren because of this whole thing. And McLaren had to pay Alpine some money and stuff like that because Alpine felt like they were entitled to have Piastri because I guess some things that he had said or something, and they had put money into his development as a driver.
And what whatever. Yeah, okay.
Like Alpine has like driver academies.
Oh,
so
okay.
You sort of like fund people going into the
cheap
sport.
off them. Like he used their academies and then just dipped to McLaren.
I mean, it's business. It's racing.
I guess, yeah.
That was maybe one of the funniest things I've ever seen. And that was my introduction to Oscar Piastri. And I have been a fan of him ever since.
Yeah.
That's why I like McLaren. McLaren is probably my fourth team, if not third.
Let's hear them then. What are your top ones?
Do you know the top one? You should at this point, honestly.
I want to say it's either Mercedes or Ferrari, right? Am I wrong?
Which one?
I want to say it's Ferrari.
No.
Damn it.
So close.
Mercedes.
My favorite team is Mercedes.
Okay.
My second favorite team is Ferrari.
Okay.
My third favorite is Williams. And then my fourth favorite is McLaren.
Today, when we were watching it, I think McLaren was my favorite to watch out of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're good. They have young, quick drivers, and they have a good team environment and mindset.
Yeah.
Maybe they are my third favorite team.
They might be.
They might be.
They were fun.
He's good. Oscar Piastri is really good.
He's no Bruce McLaren.
He's no Bruce
McLaren. I don't know if anybody can be Bruce McLaren now, though. So.
I don't think it's possible. That's a superhero name. Yeah. Oscar's been doing very well this season. You know, McLaren has upgraded their car a lot, and they have a better car than they have in previous years. Mm-hmm. And I'm very excited to see, you know, where it goes.
Yeah.
Because you have Lando and Oscar fighting for the win. You know, they're not just fighting for points. They're not just fighting for the podium. They're fighting for the actual win. And that's great to see versus just when they weren't.
Yeah. Makes sense.
What do you think? Any thoughts?
I don't know. I think F1's something I'm going to get into more probably. But,
is it? Are you actually, or are you just saying that for me?
No, I'm saying that because I would, because that was a fun race to watch.
Okay.
I don't know about like every week, but
well, yeah, but they're also, I mean, you somewhat know this, but they're also not often at 2 p.m.
Yeah, I know that's also a downside to it.
Yes, but a lot of the races this summer, they have one like every week this summer, pretty much until August. Mm-hmm. But a lot of the races this summer are at 8, 9 a.m.
Gotcha.
So that's not too bad. Yeah. You would also probably like qualifying. Qualifying's pretty fun to watch. Yeah. I mean, you know, I send texts in the group chat every week. I'm like, guys, please join me. And no one shows up.
Yeah. I'm always at work every time.
I know. I think you could definitely get into it.
Yeah. Especially since there's a team with my name. That would be pretty easy to like.
That confused me for a second. I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Williams. You should that should be your favorite team.
Yeah, after today's performance, I don't know. No, that's a good one.
They're double DNF.
Yeah. I went into the race today looking for them or Haas to do something because they both look like they'd be like underdog ones, but like
they definitely are.
Yeah, they proved they were underdogs.
Yeah, they're underdogs for a reason.
Yeah.
You really don't often have underdogs like showing up and undercutting people. It's really like if they're an underdog, they're an underdog.
Yeah, that was evident.
Yeah, you very quickly. Yeah, because I had said that Haas was bad, but they were doing well. Like,
yeah, they immediately dropped down to like 14th and 17th.
Yeah. Are you ready for their names?
Yeah, let's hear it.
Kevin Magnussen.
Okay, of course.
And Nico Hülkenberg.
Every name sounds cool. Like all of them.
Even the American is Logan Sargent.
Yeah, like that's the most American sounding name.
I wonder what was the name of the guy? It wasn't NASCAR, was it?
For what?
For what's it called? The movie that we watched.
Oh,
what's it called?
It was called Gran Turismo.
Gran Turismo.
Yeah.
That wasn't NASCAR.
No, I don't think it was. This is gonna sound really dumb, but does NASCAR just go in circles, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. They weren't going in really circles. Dumb. Yeah. They were going in like
yeah, they were going on actual tracks.
No, when did that movie take place? Like 2018?
Something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
In order for them to consider someone to be that good, I feel like it would have to be more realistic than anything before 2018.
Yeah,
like,
true. Because he's playing a video game
and he has
go
like
drive a car.
the whole setup too with all that stuff. I don't know if
That's
right.
what I want. Someone buy me that.
Yeah.
I've never used one of those in my life, and I want to so bad.
That's probably cool.
I'm so convinced. Like, well, first of all, not only when you drive those like simulation racing things, you have like an actual wheel. You cannot let go of that wheel, or it'll start turning like this
That's
super
funny.
fast, and you like can't grab it. It's actually kind of crazy. Yeah. But I'm just so. I don't know. I need to get in one of those because I need to put it to rest that I can't drive. You know? Because I just have such an intense feeling that I'm like, I'm going to get in that car and I'm going to do what that guy did and I'm going to go race an F1.
If you can't even do it in the simulation, then there's no way.
Exactly. So I just need to try it once.
Yeah.
I just need to, I don't know, there are like bars that have
Except if you do it well, then that's going to suck even more. Because then you're going to be convinced you could actually do it.
And then I will.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I think we showed it in the movie that it's not the same at all.
But he did end up doing it.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. Have some faith in me.
I'm sorry. Okay.
I can do it.
Yeah, I believe in you.
Yeah. Anyway, that's the episode for today.
An ending note.
I don't know. What do you think?
Good episode. Good race. I don't know. Good day.